Hi, everyone. And so we begin. Welcome, poets, parents, teachers. Natalya Handal, our featured guest poet. President Vince Boudreau, who's not here quite yet. Dean Erec Koch, and our very own MFA director, Miguel Juarez. What a year it has been. Not just living with the threat of illness, but the fear that friends or family would get sick, and even worse. Anxiety dictated many of our movements, as some of the poems today reflect. And not just COVID, but the isolation of living and relating to Black boxes. That's why I'm so happy to see all these faces. It's not like a regular class where I have to beg my undergraduates to turn on their cameras, and they don't. Often I have felt overwhelmed by the darkness of the screen, but have rejoiced when pictures of faces cropped up on the computer. Today, the 49th anniversary of Outreach, we celebrate the faces and voices that have made this day possible. Instead of dwelling on the despair of 2020, now is the time to focus on the joy of the world opening up, on the pleasure and treasure that no one can ever take away, the ability to transform the world through verse. There are a multitude of people to thank, but in the name of brevity, a shout out goes to my invaluable assistants, Gregory Crosby and Alyssa Yankwit, and everyone here today. Thank you, Dean Koch, thank you, Michelle, and a special thanks to the teachers who have labored on those screens to awaken your minds to poetry, and to you, dear poets, who continue to write and share your passions with the world. There is hope for 2021 and onward, not just the vaccine, not just the poems, but all of you here today. Thank you. Welcome, Michelle, our MFA director, who will take over with introductions.
Hello, everyone, and congratulations on winning these and writing your beautiful winning poems. I've read many of them, and I'm blown away. I believe that the poem is an act of love. But where do poems come from, and how do we recognize them when they arrive? So I want to share 3 of my favorite poets' insights into how poems are made. Adrienne Rich says in her poem, Final Notations, "It will not be simple, it will not be long. It will take little time, it will take all your thought. It will take all your heart. It will take all your breath. It will be short. It will not be simple." And then my mentor, the poet who recently died, Jean Valentine, once said in an interview, "I had a teacher in college who told me you could write from your dreams, and that was like being given a bag of gold." And then the third poet is Elizabeth Alexander, and this is from her poem, I Believe. "Poetry is what you find in the dirt in the corner, over here on the bus, God in the details, the only way you get from here to there." So I'm very grateful to join you to celebrate your journey in poetry today. I want to congratulate all of you who participated, the winners, the runner-ups, the teachers, and your parents. Thank you for taking this amazing journey together. Today, you're very, very lucky because you're soon going to hear the amazing and inspirational poet, Natalya Handal, who will be introduced by Pam. But first, I would like to introduce a champion at City College of the arts and poetry in particular, someone who has supported our MFA program in creative writing since he arrived at City College. This is his last semester here. He's leaving us, and we will always be so grateful that he is a fan of poetry and the arts. Our Dean of Humanities and Arts, Erec Koch.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And it's easy to be a fan of our extraordinary program, MFA in Creative Writing. You know, it's great to be back again at this celebration of poetry and of our younger poets. And every year I'm reminded, I think of poetry as being the art of condensation, of saying so much in so few words, with so few words. And what a gift that is of language. What a gift, poets, for you to share with us. So I want to thank you all for enriching our lives by sharing your works. Thank you, teachers, for the guidance and encouragement that you have shown your students. And congratulations to all of our participants in today's events and to our award winners. I also want you to know that creative work is an achievement that we welcome and value at the City College of New York. As you probably know, one of our most vibrant and active programs is that in creative writing at the undergraduate and graduate levels. And we have a very talented and dedicated faculty that works in all genres of creative writing, including poetry, including our extraordinary director and poet, Professor Michelle Valladares. Poets, we would welcome having you all join our academic community and know that our doors are always open to you. I would also be remiss in my duties if I did not acknowledge our wonderful colleague, Professor Pam Laskin, who is a talented writer of children's fiction, among other things. Professor Laskin serves as the director of the CCNY Poetry Outreach Center and produces this festival every year. It may look easy, you know, but I know it isn't. Certainly navigating this festival on Zoom has presented challenges that she has handled masterfully. So thank you, Pam, for all you've done. And I want to thank you all again.
Thank you.
And welcome you all.
The president isn't here yet. I am writing to him, so I'll do a little fill-in until he arrives, but perhaps I'll ask Alyssa or Greg if you could just write to him so I can do some fill-in. Okay?
To
President Boudreau.
Okay.
Okay, sounds great. Meanwhile, I just want to say thank Michelle and Eric for your beautiful speeches. Thank Natalia for being such a generous poet. As I said, but not everyone was here in the beginning. She came in early morning, 9 o'clock, and I said, you didn't have to come now. And she said, I know, I wanted to. When I asked her for books, she sent them to my home, and I'll be mailing those books to you, signed copies for every single one of you. You'll all be getting certificates. If your address wasn't attached to your email submission, make sure you get me your address so I can go to the post office and send it out. And I'm just astounded at the quality of the work this year. So I also just was so overwhelmed, and our selection process was extraordinarily challenging because we didn't have as many judges. But I think Alyssa and Gregory would agree that we pretty much were on the same page. And I don't see many parents here, but I want to thank, for those who are here, I want to thank them. And I want to thank the teachers. The task you did this year was just extraordinary. I cannot imagine, I can't imagine because I've been seeing my own students on Zoom, online, 2 days a week, which is very different than 5 days a week, 5 periods a day. And I never pause when I think, oh my God, I am working so hard on Zoom. I'm always turned back to the high school teachers who are there from 8 to 3, 5 days a week, and with 25 to 35 students in a class. So with that being said, thank you so much. Karla, I see you here. Let me see if some of the other teachers are here. No, but we I'm just totally overwhelmed. What I may do, because I want the president to speak, but I want to make sure that we are able to do this all within the given length of time, that until the president does arrive, which he has a whole host of commitments always, let's begin. Let the festivities begin. So you all got the high school booklet and you have the poems in front of you. We will start with the honorable mentions in alphabetical order. Rubya Ali from Edward R. Murrow High School. Please begin.
Hi, Miss Pamela.
Austin, congratulations.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here, and I am lucky to be here also. This poem that I wrote is actually based on a true experience with COVID and it being in my house. So here it goes. Hope you guys like it. 200,000 tests, 120 deaths. You can think COVID won't get you, but it could get you at any moment. So I am isolated. December 18, just a month ago, I turned 17. Shelly, Shokat, Ibrahim, Bro, Ma, Baba, all suffer from COVID-19. The virus is touching everyone, but not me. December 18, NYC is dealing with COVID-19. Day 293, 200,000 tests, 120 deaths recently. I don't like tracking numbers, but numbers are all I see. People have their whole homes for quarantine, but not me. Just my room, all lonely. Every other room is deadly. You can think COVID won't get you, but it could get you at any moment. Now I live in a house filled with it. Suddenly I am doing groceries, apples, chicken nuggets, sodas, prunes, tangerines, out in the cold, snow still on the ground, 30 degrees. Suddenly I'm carrying the family. There is death in my body, my older brother says. December 23rd, what a week. 14 days, 5 hours of sleep. How can I sleep at the end of the week? The nurse told my dad to go to the emergency. Suddenly I'm writing my dad's health records before he goes to the hospital. Writing mom's health records in case she goes to the hospital. Let this not be the week I am not in the mood to lose, my older sister says. Luckily, it's become the week of Ali family recovery. The vaccine is here, the masks are still there. 3 vaccine variety, better days are coming, days where we go to Spain. Loved ones come over for holidays, time where you aren't worrying about another COVID case. Better days, better days, better days. Thank you.
Rubya, that was beautiful. Scott Austin, you did a great job mentoring Rubya. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you. I mean, just exactly what I was saying at the beginning, that how much the virus, the past year, the isolation, the loneliness has impacted on the poems that we received this year. And then I thought, just like Michelle said, how grateful we are to have a voice with which we can use, poems that we can write, that we getting people to hear us in our isolation and our loneliness. And with that being said, we can step aside from the poets and we will recontinue because our president has arrived. So welcome, President Vince Boudreau from City College. A round of applause.
Well, let me return the round of applause to you all. I mean, this is really one of my favorite events of the year. And I'm sure you've heard, you've written, you've thought about the relationship between what you're doing and the year that we've just had. As Professor Laskin just said, more than anything else, poetry is about giving you an opportunity to find your voice and to find your voice in ways where it's not just the logic of the words that matter, it's the beauty of the words, it's the structure of the language. It's you figuring out how to catch the attention of a listener by crafting your thoughts into a poem where rhythm matters and the sound of words mean as much as the meaning of words when you put them together. And the thing about poetry, if you write poetry, is it doesn't roll off the page. It shouldn't roll off the page. You should puzzle over it. You should rearrange your words. You should read them aloud. You should try to figure out how the sound of your voice is going to contribute to the total of human culture, to human understanding. And so we've all had hours and hours by ourselves this year, in isolation, either by yourself as an individual, with your family, and what better place to shape the sound of your voice than in that solitude, and what better time to figure out what you have to say than at a time when we're all confronting really and truly moments of hardship and danger and threat that people will talk about for 100 years. This is not a normal time. This hasn't been a normal year. And sometimes when you are, as a people, as an individual, as a family, when you are backed into a corner, when you're facing hardship, the only response is to think about the highest forms of human expression, the greatest art, the most important value that a human life, a human mind, a human dream has. And so what we do today is come together and hear what you have contributed, not just to your class or to the year or to your own life, what you've contributed to the body of human culture as a response to this threat that we've all faced. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that each one of you has found a moment, an opportunity, hopefully solace in the act of looking inside yourself and thinking about how you can take your very best ideas and your strongest hopes and your biggest dreams and your most astute observations and craft those thoughts into a piece of art to share with the rest of us. It's such a privilege to be here and to listen to you and to hear these poems. I'm really looking forward to spending a good part of the rest of the afternoon just listening to what you've come up with in your year. So I first want to congratulate all of you. I want to thank you for your contribution to what it means for us as a species, as a people, as a society, to struggle through difficult times. And I want to congratulate every last one of you for the work you've done, and thank Professor Laskin and all the rest of the mentors and teachers that have contributed to this work. Today, you become fully poets, not just that you've written poetry, but that you've shared it. And so let's just take a moment, absorb the accolades and the congratulations, listen to one another, and truly enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, President Boudreau. The word that really stuck out for me, and I put it in the chat, was solace. Because my guess is, for all of you, as it was for me, when those rare moments when I sat down to write a poem, and I say rare because there was so little time with teaching and running the event, but those rare moments were truly moments of solace for me. And I know they were for you because I hear the echoes of what you were feeling in 2020, 2021. So let's continue. Thank you, President Boudreau, and we move on to Biannca Burshteyn from Central Park High School. Biannca.
Hi. Hi, my name is Biannca. I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity for us to share poetry, and that I'm really grateful to have received this honorable mention. So my poem is called Light Doesn't Equal Right, which I wrote during the time of the Black Lives Matter protest after the George Floyd death in response to colorism as well as police brutality and the discrimination of African American lives. Okay. Let me take you back to where this began, where light skin became the right sin since it got you into their house, though it never got you off of their land. They saw melanin as the beast, so when you looked more like them, you no longer were treated as bad as the least. And they knew that it took some of their kind to make you look like their own, but you still didn't belong with them. You were too tainted for the whites, but not black enough for it to be shown. Now here comes freedom. Never knocked on our door, but told us to play a game of cat and mouse. So we fell for the bait. We fought in wars, held on to her empty words, got out of chairs, fell into their ropes that hung us from trees, or if we were lucky enough, into their jailhouse. But freedom, you knew her all too well as she graced your presence. You stuck your nose in the air as Black brothers and sisters were being degraded and segregated. You cheated on your Black culture and felt no remorse in your affair. Racial passing became your nicotine, your cocaine, your morphine, your meth. No matter the cause, you'll never say you are Black, but claim the title and the race of white till your very last breath. See, they marked in our brains that Black can only be seen as a monstrosity. Took away the love you had for your kind, turned it into self-loathe, turned your Blackness into an atrocity. But don't worry, your light skin will protect you in ways that your DNA can't, so you pity the Black girl, whose rich skin can never go unnoticed, whose big lips and 4C hair could never enchant, who desires to be looked at and much like you will do anything to not look Black. She's the designer in bleaching her technique, skin is her dark fabric, and she needs white linen to create the perfect frock. So she uses every bleach cream to erase every word and burden that her once brown skin carried. While the color is gone, her burdens are not, because then she births a Black boy who will look at his skin, look at brown women the same way she once did, and think that light women are the only women that can be married, so the world.
Am I the only one that this is frozen for?
She froze, yeah.
Freeze? Okay. Biannca, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. You froze. Maybe you can back up a little bit and keep going.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly where you froze, what the line was.
It's okay. I'll
Pam, you're muted.
Biannca, you froze with, so the white light and wannabe right women.
Okay, thank you. So the white light and wannabe right women are these men's trophy wives, while our dark-skinned girls become an exhibition for them to view, to touch, but creatures they will never keep in their lives. But does this cycle continue? Will Black men and women continue to give into this false claim that you need a light woman to stand by you or your accomplishments will go down in vain, that the less melanin you have is the more successful you can be, that we have to look like our oppressors to no longer feel oppressed? When will we learn that our melanin was originally royalty, that our statue in life wasn't meant to be a minority, but that we were rulers of the majority? When we will repaint our own image, stepping away from division, but letting these vibrant shades of Black, let this be our momentum in making provisions.
Biannca, are you not ending it with the ending that you had in the poem? Did you edit it? Is she frozen again? It's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, I think it cut off on when I was talking.
Biannca, did you know, because some poets choose to edit after they submit the poem. So did you want to end it where you ended it, or that our Black excellence will, did you want to add that?
Oh, I'll add it because it cut off. That's what happened.
Do you want to share the last 2 lines? Because they are so powerful.
Okay. That our Black excellence will take us farther when we finally get our voices out of our head. When we learn that light skin and white skin isn't a preference, but a colorist delusion that they have sewn in with the racist thread.
I love that, Biannca, sewn in with a racist thread. I didn't want anyone to miss that. That would have been such a shame. Thank you, Biannca.
Thank you.
Great. And next, amazing, Sasha from Stuyvesant. Sasha, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello. Thank you so much
Okay.
for having me. I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and I'm so happy to be here. My poem is called LK, and it was inspired by The Year My Brother Stopped Listening to Hip Hop by Hanif Abdurraqib. I was 14, and it's only been a year and 3 months and 23 days, but it feels like ages ago when I waved to you from across the Broadway Lafayette stage and platform, holding the blue fluffy ball you won me by throwing 2 basketballs into a hoop at Coney Island, and looking at you until the D train arrived, and I could still see you through the window, but as the train moved, you got farther and farther away, and now you're across the world, but your name comes up on my phone every day, and so does your face, so we count 3, 2, 1, and kiss through the screen, and you send me songs like She's a Rainbow by the Rolling Stones, which you said was about me, even though I don't come in colors everywhere, but you still think I do. And your shirt with their logo that you gave me lost your scent because I wore it so much, but I remember when you put it in my bag before you walked me back to the hotel at 1 a.m. and we went into the empty mall to look for a photo booth, as all the subway stations were closed, but we wanted more pictures before we said goodbye again. And now sometimes when I shuffle your playlist, Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys comes on, and it really would be nice if we wouldn't have to wait so long, because it's been 7 months and 29 days since I last saw you, and I don't know when I'll be able to again. So I close my eyes, and we're together again on the yellow grass after just waking up, and the sun's rays are actually visible, and you're singing along to Starman by David Bowie. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Gabrielle Calavia from High School for Math, Science, and Engineering. Gabriella.
It's Gabriella Calavia.
I
Hi.
just realized.
No worries.
Sorry.
I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for everyone who's shared, and I'm so excited to continue to hear. So without further ado, my poem is called Petrichor. Petrichor. Tell it to me slowly. Know that we are lying in the grassy meadow, drawing in each moment in honey-glazed fingers, sipping in the V-shaped flight of birds, on angels' breaths and stained glass shards, sailing across the ebbing leaf. Divergent mountains sacrifice their height. Tell me of beads racing down the car window, hissing the stars in the ravine in our Victorian melodrama, of a dull world lightened by wonder. Know that soon I will be numb here on the barren field. The sun will scorch on my cracked lips. The mechanical whirring will be too much. Tell it to me again and again before I fade away.
I just want you to know something, not just you, Gabriella, but everyone. Picking the 5 cash prize winners was impossible, next to impossible. I think more this year than ever before, because I think Alyssa and Gregory would agree with me. We were on the phone. Actually, it was a Zoom meet. Would you say hours? Hours. No, I like this one. I like this one. In truth, I would have picked every single one. That's how great these poems were.
Yeah.
And there you go. And with that being said, we move to Aerin Franklin from Brooklyn Technical High School.
Thank you, and thank you to the organizers for inviting me here. This is Ghost. I wanted to burn something, so I did, torn loose leaf that only smoked till I breathed, and it singed my fingertips. I tried to lift the scrap, but it fell into countless pieces, infesting the lines of my fingers. That's how I learned ash is softer than snow. I want a blanket of ash, so at last I can sleep, alone in the ruins of infinity. Let this white sweater turn to gray. They will wrap me in it, but it will fall apart and get trapped between my skin and my skin. When I awoke, I could not push aside my blanket. I fell asleep in a snowbank once, and when I woke, all was gray and burnt. Not even the snow protected me, so I'll burn down the mountain. I'll be warm again, if only for a little while.
Thank you, Aerin. Welcome, Laura Hickson from the New York City iSchool. Laura.
Hi, thank you guys so much. My poem is called The Book of My Childhood. Today I picked up a book in my room. The words were old and fading, with words I could barely recognize tattooed into its skin. My fingers traced over the well-worn paper, the cracks, creases, and crevices creating chasms. They run deep within the pages, words and pictures falling into them, and rivers of memories flow inside. Each line is a proof of love, and every line that fades is a souvenir that was left behind. Today I cried over a book. It contained a special story. I cannot figure out where it came from or why I loved it so. But today I will always remember the indented line where the spine had cracked from years of forgotten love.
The spine had cracked from years of forgotten love. Whoa, just so amazing. Thank you. Felicia Jennings Brown from Bronx High School of Science. Felicia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is my poem and it's called Waxen. I went outside for the first time to watch the moon set right after the sun, white bud sprouting from each of 20 stems, and the hurricane, threading through the eye of a needle, was blown out like the candle that watched like the evil eye Mars, a face, a hope. The explosion spinning round and round till the wind stole it, pale glowing petals lost in the dark, and forced its dust down to rest on other sunken dreams, whose only incarnations are black vernal pools on a silver beach with tin walls keeping at bay the water. Sometimes I wonder if I went out before the more empty than full silver sphere had sunk beneath the skeletal trees, blooms forgotten on a chair, if I would have noticed that Polaris drew a diamond ring pointing to Mars, my face, the hope.
Felicia, when we were reading your poem, it has nothing to do with the virus at all, the pandemic at all, but the idea when I saw the word hope, when I was reading it in solitary confinement, I started sobbing because that's really what I was hungry for, was the idea of hope, wherever it came from. And so I had this reaction to a lot of poems, certainly now more than ever. Thank you, Felicia. Miguel Juarez from Bronx Academy of Letters, and a shout out to his teacher. Karla, why don't you unmute yourself? Karla Robinson.
Hi, everybody.
Bronx Academy of Letters came to us as a school a few years ago. They always have poets working there. And Alana Bell, my friend, started working there several years ago. She was our featured guest poet 5 years ago. And when she was leaving, I said, oh no, what am I going to do? And she said, well, Karla's taking over and she's amazing, more amazing than I am. And you know what? I'm going to have to tell her you are. Okay, with that being said, welcome, Miguel.
Hi, sorry, thank you for having me. It's an honor. My poem is called Storyteller, and it's based on basically memories of my childhood. I put on a play in my old house, in my cave, jumping on the old couch, putting up lights when it's cold out. Mom and dad, both seats sold out. See, these are the things that shaped me, the smiles and laughs. It would be weird to see it leave. These are the things that make life feel like a game. The moments you do twice, they're not the same. I put on a play in my basement, mom and dad smiling faces, but now I don't know if they faked it. Guess everything is complicated. Slowly losing who I am inside, it gets harder to say goodbyes. But as we grow up, it gets easier the more you try. But I'm ready for your return back. Maybe we can relive what we had. I still care about you like if it was the first day. You make me have no words to say. I worked really hard. Let me show you my play. And I don't want to do it twice because it's not the same. There goes another Friday added to the 100 bad days. But if life doesn't have consequences, are you living your life? That's what Miss Gary would say. But when I show you my play, will you pretend you didn't know if I make a mistake? Life's gonna get really bad before it's okay, but maybe you'll forget it all while you're watching my play. Thank you.
Miguel, we'll all be watching your play, every single one of us. I'm telling you. Thank you. And another student who's not here today, Kujege Kamara, Kaitlyn Alvarez will be reading Kujege's poem. Kaitlyn?
Hi everyone, my name is Kaitlyn.
Wait, Kaitlyn?
And sadly, Kujege. Yes.
Kaitlyn, your mic.
I'm unmuted.
Maybe you should turn off your camera and we'll
Turn
be able
off
to
your
hear you
camera.
better. Yeah.
Good idea.
Can we start reading now? Okay. Anticipated Vision by Kujege Kamara. We are expected to act like grown adults, always hearing, I shouldn't have to tell you to wash the dishes. Get up and do them. Told to get off your phones. It distracts you. When it is actually the only thing making us happy. Treated like babies who aren't allowed to fall when trying to walk. It takes time, but to some it shouldn't. We are taught to go to school and get good grades, but we don't have enough support at home. Don't ask us how school went for us. Don't ask how we're feeling. Teacher calls to make a complaint about their student, but little do they know, this complaint stems from home. In order for a plant to grow, it do need to be taken care of, right? We want to make mistakes and learn from them, but instead tuck under the carpet and walk away from them. As it grows and grows, filled with dirt, guilt, we don't realize until you see the carpet physically breaking down, just like how our mental health is breaking down, like our body trying to break down our own food to give us energy, but we don't get energy. Instead, we get anxiety, depression, mental illness. It's not talked about in our homes. It isn't seen as important. To the people we should trust, I'm sorry we weren't enough. To the people who made us, I'm sorry we are not who you envisioned us to be.
You can share with the
Pam, you're muted.
Pam, you're muted.
You can share with the poet to the people we should trust. I'm sorry we weren't enough. To the people who made us, I'm sorry we are not who you envision us to be. Just amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Kaitlyn, for sharing his. With that being said, we move to Iskander Khan from Bronx High School of Science, who wrote his poem Amtrak, inspired by 13 ways of looking at a blackbird. Iskander? Iskander is not here. Okay, I think.
Looking.
What? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying I was looking for.
No, he's not.
No, okay. Yeah.
He's not here, and I think we'll skip over and see if we have enough time to read it at the end. If we do, I'll absolutely share it with you. Anne Lily Kump from Frank Sinatra School of the Arts. You are here. I saw you in the beginning. No, that's so weird. Okay, again, we'll skip over. Most poets let me know when they're not showing up, so if I don't hear from them, I assume that they are. Okay, with that, we will move on to Justin Liu is not here. That I know. Is Nicole Manning here? She told me she may or may not come. Nicole is not. I may have time to share some of these poems with you at the end, and I will, but let's move forward in the meanwhile. But I just want to say something about Nicole Manning, that many years ago, her mom, Kathy Powell Manning, works at City College. And many years ago, when Nicole was a young girl, Kathy wrote to me and said, can you send mentors from your program to our school? I love your program so much that, and we want so many mentors that I'll get the PTA to pay for it. And I said, if you get the PTA to pay for them, you're on board. As many mentors as you want, we're fine with that. So I sent about 5 mentors to the TAG school, which is the talented and gifted. Hadn't heard from Kathy for years. And then she wrote me the other day and she said, you're not going to believe it. You selected my daughter's poem to be an honorable mention in high school. However, she's getting her 2nd vaccine today and she may or may not be here. So clearly she's not here. And if we have time, I will absolutely share her poem. So we can move on to Adam Osman Krinsky. Adam? Okay, you're absolutely going to have to hear poems in my voice. Not sure what happened. These are all young people who said they were coming.
I don't know if there's an issue with them logging in.
But you know what? I keep on checking my outreach email and they...
Nothing. Yeah, I haven't seen
Nothing.
anything either. I just...
Did you check your outreach email, Alyssa? I did.
No, actually, let me double check that one.
When I checked about 20 minutes ago, I didn't hear anything.
You read, I'll check.
Okay, great. Iman Rahman from William Cullen Bryan High School. Oh, we're not doing well here. We are doing well here. Not a thing to say because all of you are here now. Saran Sumana from Manhattan Center for Science and Math. Okay, you absolutely will have to hear some of these poems in my voice, Gregory's voice, and or Alyssa's voice. Iris Sue from Punanhu School in Hawaii. And Iris, we're ready for you.
Iris
and Iris, I know you're here.
Oh yes, that's Punahou School.
Iris?
Yes, can you hear me?
Marty, oh my God. The oh my God is Marty was an MFA student at our program years ago. Marty moved to Hawaii and she is now teaching at a public high school in Hawaii and asked us if one of her students can submit a poem. And so here she is in Hawaii at her school, listening to her student, Iris read. Iris, you're on.
Can you hear me?
We cannot hear you.
You just have to be louder, maybe the volume up a little.
Is this better?
A little bit louder?
Like this?
Perfect.
Okay. This is just a poem about my name, and it's called Breath and Wind and Soul. My grandfather passed away when I was 2, but I was precious to him because he named me Shi Zixiao, my Chinese name, to remind me he was once here. Shi, our family name, which isn't common here but is back in China. Zi, the color purple, my favorite color. Xiao, the traditional Chinese flute, to remind me One day I will sound beautiful by my own breath. And my English name, Iris, a name of many meanings, Greek goddess of messages and rainbows, graceful flowers blowing in the wind, a close-up of one's eye. For they say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Yes, my name has many meanings to remind me, breath and wind and soul. Thank you.
Iris, we were so inspired, and I knew that you had such a good teacher in Marty by the beautiful poetry of that poem. The language, the diction was just so amazing. So thank you, Iris, and thank you, Marty, and thank you, Marty, for showing up. Marty, once upon a time, was a mentor in our program. And next we have Yan Zhenzu. Yan Zhen, are you here? No.
No, I just saw an email from Yandan Su that said that they don't think they'll make it. They weren't feeling well.
Alyssa, I'm going to ask you to read that poem because that was one of the poems you wanted as a cash prize winner.
Okay, but you need to send it to me.
It's in the booklet. Do you have the booklet?
I have to see because I got.
You know what? It's okay. I'll read it.
I had the issue with my computer after I received the booklet, so.
That's fine. I don't mind reading it. To the first boy I kissed. And everyone else mute yourselves. I lied. It wasn't my first kiss. The first happened years ago when I couldn't have been half your height. I was younger than your sister then, still wearing pink princess dresses like polished shoes, 2 pigtails held together by all the rainbow's colors. I don't want to remember his name. His furrowing eyebrows and dyed hair and thin lips are enough reminder. I don't know what I said to him, only what he did. Place his hands on my neck as you would a chicken to slaughter. Tighten his grip while his face closes in. I can smell him, the dust of an old cage, chamomile that threatens to strip you of consciousness. Nothing like your peppermint and salt lip balm. To the first boy I kissed, I lied. I wasn't squirming because it tickles. I was scared. The last person that put his hands under my waistband cooed and held and grabbed. Perhaps he wasn't as violent as I remember, but like his kiss, his hand marked and destroyed. It's 1,000 burns eating away your skin, consuming your sanity. I don't know what sanity was then. I only knew to yell, stop, to push him away before I was reduced to ash. Yet my words choked at the smoke. My hands only clenched together, color of blue flames. Decade passed. I built up enough of me only to be burned again. My words still lodge at my throat, suffocated by fumes of dying flesh. My hands still seek comfort in harming one another, gripping even there is purple. I guess I still don't know what sanity is, knowing only fear. To the first boy I kissed, I lied. I did not like it. I did not know how to say no. I can still taste the no I said, bitter, desperate, fearful. He didn't stop. While tears formed under shut eyes, I lay there paralyzed. I couldn't feel the warmth of the bed, the coursing of my blood, only the shadows that chained me, his strokes, slimy fingers, and that look in his eyes, a feral cat who's found its prey, killing it with every bite, but not letting it die. When you pulled me into your lap, clasped your arms to my side like vice, forced your hands under my pants, I froze. You look so much like him. I didn't want to say no. I didn't want to be a victim again. I wanted to like it, so I told you yes, I did like it. If you looked, you would have seen the fear in my eyes. Perhaps you didn't want to know. If you listened, you would have heard the hesitation. Perhaps you couldn't hear beyond the affirmation. I don't blame you. I knew you meant me no harm. I needed to say no, but I didn't. I lied. to the girl that lied. It's okay. You heard it from the adults and your best friend, but it's really okay. Thank you. I couldn't not read that poem. It's really, I'm sorry that Yan and a few of the others could not be here, but it's one of those days. It's online education. It's the year of the virus. We have to say goodbye to Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much. Everyone's poems are beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh, it's
Michelle.
so great to see
And
you.
Michelle, if I have
Nice to
an
see you.
extra copy of Natalia's book, I'll give it to you.
Please, please, I'd love it.
Okay.
Come and read our program, Natalia.
I will, Michelle. Thank you. So nice to see you. Thank you.
Everyone, Natalia was my editor 1,000 years ago. She edited a beautiful Norton anthology of Middle Eastern and Asian poetry and selected one of my poems. So thank you so much. It's so great to see her. You are in for a treat.
That's amazing. 6 degrees of separation. It's always 6 degrees of separation. Always, always.
It's a very small poetry world, but now all of you are in it.
You're all in it. All of you are in it. Okay, folks, we're moving on to the cash prize winners. And so we begin with third prize, Natalia Velez-Rios from Stuyvesant High School. Natalia, you're on.
Thank you for having me. My poem is called Playground Secrets. I wonder if that moonshine you call skin stains easy. Like maybe those freckles are specks of mud that settled and faded in solidarity with your small innocent eyes, your dream catcher eyelashes, and the hair I wished you let fall toward your furrowed brow like when we were kids. By and by, I find that the sharp of your features doesn't extend past your face. You're just textured honeycomb in this nest of bees, and not everyone wants you in their cup of tea. Like the red of an unsettling eclipse, there is something desperate and harrowing in those scabs of yours, raw and gruesome metaphors I hope you never understand. Even in safety, you override yourself, stepping back when you want to move forward, never saying what you want. I hear the whispering winds rattling inside you, instead of the voice I'd recognize from way back when our teeth were crooked, but we smiled open-mouthed anyway.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Chiamaka?
I don't think Chiamaka's here, Pam, but I'd be happy to read their poem.
Yes, I want you to read Chiamaka's poem because that was your poem, Gregory. You
Well, I mean,
love
we
the
just
title.
I like this poem very much. This is called Secretariat. The Secretariat decorates himself with paper ribbons, one from each race stapled crudely onto his mane, a reminder of crueler beginnings. The Secretariat bends over to tighten his shoelaces, then hears the gun fire a single bullet racing towards the sky. The Secretariat runs past mules, having no conscious thoughts except the ending of it all. The Secretariat stares down from a steel bridge, places his hands on the rails, and leans down for the last time to taste the ocean water.
I'm sorry that so many of the poets are not here today. I'm happy for the ones who are. And so we go to, thank you, Gregory, for reading that. And we go to Serena Deng from Hunter College High School. Serena.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Day 6. Remember that our hands do not belong to our wrists, nor our wrists to our bodies, nor we to each other. Black sheep take themselves into the fold unknowingly and never run again. Perhaps blinded, perhaps at night we mistake white wool for open air. We do not choose ourselves or each other. Remember that all our joints pull in different directions and wish to be separated, and one day the sheep outlive the shepherd. Their gait remains forever between opening and closing. Once free, we turn foreign, salt-hungry, wider than water, yet still our names stay tacked to our ears. Remember that God makes Adam with his own hands and takes the earth upon them like second skin. There is a moment, I think, when creator and creation lock fingers and never forget it.
That's so great. I just want to encourage everyone when we're able to put the all the high school winners and poetry performance online as an ebook and at the website. I love the way your poem looks on the page, Serena. It's great. It's a really skillful poem just visually, which is something that we're not enjoying here at the moment. But please, everyone, don't forget to all the poems you're hearing now. They're also many of these poems look fantastic on the page as well. So thank you so much.
Right, and what Gregory is saying, which I'll reiterate, is when you get the ebook and when you get the website, make sure to look at it. It's pretty amazing. I'm sorry we can't get a physical copy of a book to you this year because of what's happened. We're doing away with the physical copy of the book, but for those of you who are not graduating seniors, this will give you an incentive to send poems in next year, which is our 50th anniversary. And not only is it our 50th anniversary of Poetry Outreach, but we will hopefully, with lots of prayers, have a physical event, a huge physical event and a party. I'm not even asking the president yet. I don't want to corner him. Okay, our second, and this always happens every year. We're debating over, this should be the second prize. No, this should be the second prize. So we often have 2 third and 2 second prize winners. So, and interestingly, and I could share this behind the scenes, Gregory and Alyssa both said they knew I would pick Paromita's poem, and they were ready to, they just knew it. They thought, no discussion, Pam is picking this poem. And of course, the minute we open up, I said, I want to talk about, and Alyssa said, mother's bindi, my bindi. So there you go, Paromita.
Hi, thank you so much for providing us with this amazing opportunity. My poem is about forsaking a part of my culture and later embracing it. I weaved in footnotes throughout to add historical facts for more depth. So here goes. Mother's bindi, my bindi. The point at which creation begins. In the Nasadiya Sukta, hymn of creation, the middle of the forehead is said to be the point at which creation begins, the seat of concealed wisdom and the focal point of the subconscious mind that serves as the third eye. What does it matter, Ma? Piercing orbs cut in two, sewn unfastened by unruly tentacles, and in between lies, why does it matter? A single teardrop of a million women, their cries rippling, get rid of it. They watch with their third and warn of the trap capturing clouded light. You don't need it anymore. Just as the eyes lure in radiance and deviously encage it, the burn of a spiraling trap of disowning what brings tenor in life makes way. A moment of heat, brief security, like the wind coerced into a cocooned gossamer veil, I felt as I walked with her, gripping her fingers, our leveled staccato footfalls losing tempo, as eyes peered up at the middle of her forehead and pierced through the veil, wavering my steps. Why do you still wear it, Ma? I had asked. They look at you funny and keep asking me these silly questions, questions that I had no answer to. So I screamed with my lidded mouth, clenched my anxiety tightly within my fist, and floundered. Because how was I to know the reason why you cling on to that dot as hard as it clings on to you? Like it gives you meaning, just as you give it meaning. A mutual bond, agreement of sorts to remember where you and I and it began. When I wonder, did my feet fall into step again, into a metronome, and clenched fists turn to slackened fingers that align the speckle between my brows and offer another dimension to my vision? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paromita. And has our first prize winner arrived? But she will.
She said that she would definitely be here by 1:15 because she said that she had classes, and so I asked, and I said yes.
You know what?
She said that she should be able to make it by 1:15.
What we'll start with the foreign language award winners. We'll read those two, and hopefully Jalexi will be here by then. And I want to say something about the foreign language award winners, that I was so impressed with the poems this year, more than ever, coming from foreign language, the foreign language category, and the poems in translation, partly because we got such unusual languages. I mean, the one that really stands out is Tagalog. And Gregory said, how are you going to get a Tagalog reader to see if the poem works? Well, I actually managed to find one. Somehow, as Michelle was saying, you do? I could have asked the president. Oh my God, he speaks Tagalog. How about that? That's amazing. I did find someone who said it's not a great poem. And I can only say that because the poet's not here, so I'm not insulting his feelings. But it's amazing when we contemplate that we get about 50, 60 poems in so many different languages, and yet we manage to find in that large poetry world, which is also a small poetry world, someone who could tell us, if we don't know the language ourselves, which is pretty, you can bet on, I think between the three of us, we know a little bit of Spanish and some French, and but we always find someone. And with that being said, let's start with Rose Marabello. And I think Rose has to step away for a few seconds. So Alexandra, you're on. And what I want you to do is not just read read the poem itself, okay, and the translation. And Alexandra, I believe you and Rose are both from Bronx High School of Science, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll start with the French one then, or do you want the English first?
Start with the French first.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you for motivating me to write in French again. It's been many, many years. So I wrote this poem in kind of a letter form as a reflection on the current state of everything. And it's pretty naive, but here we go. Chère condition humaine, bienvenue à notre réalité, où les pâquerettes ne poussent plus et les jonquilles ne jaunissent pas, où nous courons dans l'autre sens en cachant les yeux et en fermant les bras. Mais j'imagine au fond de mon esprit une vie remplie de regards aimants, où les plaies ouvertes d'un monde brisé seront guéries et moins sanglantes. J'espère que le désespoir disparaît et que les larmes de l'enfant seront plus là, malgré tout ce que nous avons vécu. Un jour, on vivra dans ce futur, lorsqu'une rêverie de renaissance sera réalisée, et c'est à cet instant qu'un petit enfant se réveillera, et un soleil nouveau se lèvera, un moment dans lequel l'essence de notre humanité sera réécrite, et notre raison d'être sera renouvelée. Amène-moi à ce temps-là, je t'en supplie, dans l'attente de votre réponse. Okay. And in English, this is a pretty direct translation, so it's less. Here we go. It's called Dear Human Condition. Welcome to our reality, where the daisies no longer bloom, daffodils never turn yellow, where we turn our backs and run, shutting our eyes and closing our arms. But I imagine in the back of my mind a world filled with kindness, where the open wounds of our broken world are healed and less raw. I hope that suffering disappears and that the tears of our youth will be no longer, despite everything we've been through. One day this will become our reality. The dream of rebirth will come to fruition, and at that moment a child will awaken, a new dawn will rise, a moment in which the essence of our humanity will be rewritten, and our raison d'être will be renewed. Take me to that time, I beg you, awaiting your response. Thank you.
And You know, Alexandra, that Natalia writes in French too, right, Natalia? Am I correct?
I speak French et c'était vraiment bien. J'ai beaucoup aimé.
Merci
beaucoup. I really liked it very much, very much. It's very moving.
Beautiful. I mean, beautiful poems. I mean, what we look for, even when we don't know the language, so we actually read through the English translations, even what we don't know when we don't know the language, is a poem that's equally beautiful in English. And that's a hard bridge to cross. It really is. Merci beaucoup is right. Thank you, Alexandra.
Merci.
Okay, Rose, and start with the Chinese.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to give like a brief explanation about my poem because the English translation doesn't really capture that. So it's during this pandemic, obviously we've all been missing out on, just going to places, both new places and places we've been before. And I've also been really missing out on parts of my own culture. So yeah, I wanted to kind of write a poem about my mother's town back in China, which was, hugely affected by the pandemic. So yeah. Okay, so the poem is called 程度印象. Oh yeah, and I wanted to write it in her language, even though I'm not super good at Chinese, but yeah. 鸡女士的绿鸡蛋，鱼凑鱼的糯米粉一起出现，独出一而不合，所有其他商贩相应。柔软的可口蘑菇船，走在琥珀蜂蜜的罐子盘，不断的吸用我的所有美味的饺子和甜点气味，还有泡菜在躺着桶和盆里，在烟和醋混的泡菜水里发酵，列出一些中草药，美新鲜的水果的政策，挂在天空的红灯笼，珠宝买家的寒假。汽车和摩托车在街上上班，所有的气味和声音横在难以述说的环境中，透过寒冷的秋天空气或炎热的夏天，清脆的春天和阳痿的冬天，吸引来自世界大的游客。Okay. Yeah, and so here's the direct translation in English. It's called My Impression of Chengdu. Green eggs from the chicken lady appear alongside smelly fish and glutinous rice flour. They're removed from not next to all of the rest of the vendors. A soft bed of tasty mushrooms sits by jars of amber honey, tempting me unfailingly. All the smells of savory dumplings and sweet treats. And there are the pickles, barrels and tubs and basins. They're fermenting in briny juice, all the salt and vinegar. Carts selling fresh fruit, red lanterns hanging in the sky, jewelry sellers yelling about their prices, cars and motorcycles strumming in the street. All of the scents and sounds permeating the chill autumn air, or the simmering hot summer, crisp spring, or harsh winter, attracting visitors from around the world. Thank you.
I am just overwhelmed with Alexandra and Rose's poems, both in their language and their translation, both of which were remarkable. So I think Alex Thorpe was your teacher, yes? And the students at Bronx Science, Alex Thorpe is a graduate of City College's MFA program. I'm sorry he couldn't make it here today. We did invite him, but tell him, which I wrote to him and let him know, good job, great job. And for all of you who are here, whose teachers could not make it here, let your teachers know we find your work absolutely positively astounding and that they need to give you an A in English, no matter what. And tell them Pam Laskin said so. Okay, with that being said, we have our first prize winner, Jalexi, from the iSchool has arrived. And so we will conclude the program before Natalya Handal reads. And I want you to stay, not just for her reading, but because she's opening it up to a Q&A, which I think will be helpful for you as poets. Okay, Jalexi, you're on.
All right, thank you so much.
Louder?
A little louder?
All right,
yes.
I'll be a little. All right, so this poem is called.
You still have, I think you still have to be louder, right?
Okay.
Jalexi, you hear my voice? It's called, this is a joke. When I work with little kids, I say, when they're very loud, I say, little bear voice. And when they're too soft, I say, big bear voice, big bear voice.
All right, is this volume okay? Yes?
Yes.
All right. This poem is called Legos. We both brought all of our Legos to the play date and began to build. I can't remember if there was an instruction manual. If there was, we forgot to bring it. But there we were, two kids, building our future together. Your red Legos, I never really saw them at first. Your pain and frustration. Maybe the bright city streetlights that illuminated the night gave off too much reflection and made them seem pink. Maybe it was me who subdued their color and temporarily made them that way. I tried hiding all of my dark blue and black ones. Suffering in sadness, they stabbed me as I sat on them, tucked into my back pocket. I feared you touched them and they'd stain your hands, making you run away, trying to wash it off. But you saw them jutting out, and the last thing I expected was that you'd turn them pastel. We sat there, fitting our pieces together, sunshiny yellows offsetting murky grays, some days burning hot, others freezing cold, knees on the lonely gravel of the park. Thank you.
Jalexi, can you read the last two lines so loud, because I want everyone to hear them. They're just so extraordinary.
All right, I'll read the
just
whole,
the last two.
I'll do the whole last stanza since it's pretty short. It goes, we sat there, fitting our pieces together, sunshiny yellows offsetting murky grays, some days burning hot, others freezing cold, knees on the lonely gravel of the park. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jalexi. You missed some of this in the beginning, and some of you others missed the beginning when I had my opening speech, but I'm going to read you the very end of it because it's really what I'm going to read you segments before I introduce our featured guest poet, because I want you to hear what I said about the power of poetry. And we only had a handful of people here in the beginning, and that was that this year we lived with the threat of illness and the fear that friends or family would get sick, or even worse. Anxiety dictated many of our movements, as some of the poems today reflect, and not just COVID, but the isolation of living and relating to Black boxes. Often I have felt overwhelmed by the darkness of the screen, but have rejoiced when pictures of faces cropped up on the computer. But today, we have a special thanks to the teachers, to the students, to Vince Boudreau, our president, to Gregory Crosby and Alyssa Yankwit, who have labored on these screens to awaken your minds to poetry, and to you, dear poets, who continue to write and share your passions, not just passion, with the world. There is hope for 2021 and onward. Not just the vaccine, not just the poets, not just the teachers, not just the writing, but in all of you. You are our hope. And with that being said, do not stop your writing. The school year is ending in another 6 or 7 weeks for you. The school year may have not even started in person yet. You may still be on those black boxes, but you know what? You can write anytime, anywhere, and in the silence of your room. You can give your room sound. Thank you so much